Estelle Bingham, I am so honored to have you here at Livsenergipodden. And yeah, so you are so welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you. Very excited to speak today with you.
You've taken your time here during the hot summer days. Now.
Yes, it's so hot at the moment, isn't it? And it's like it's this crazy heat wave that's sweeping through Europe. But
Mm,
a good time to talk about the things that we need to talk about, really,
yeah,
especially at this time, these times in the world, and
yeah,
what we're with, and what's happening
mm,
externally and internally.
yeah. So you have an important message to the world and to every human being. And I don't know what made me hunt this book down, but you have written a fantastic book called, in English, it's called Manifest Your True Essence. And the Swedish translation is actually the same. So, Manifestera, din, sanna, essens.
Oh, that's beautiful. That sounds.
So, this book is your first book,
Yeah.
but you are old in the world, in the spiritual world. I mean, ever since you were born, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I talk about it in the book actually. My story is in the book, Alexandra, and I decided to bring it to the book because many stories are in the book.
Mm.
Many stories of healing and transformation and what
Mm.
it means to return to ourselves through our hearts, and what that looks like in real time, actually.
Mm.
And my story is in there, and many of my clients often have said to me, you're so mysterious, and on Instagram, I don't really talk about my personal life, but I thought I took this opportunity to really talk about the what brought me to
Mm.
this work, and really to my message, and my this sort of movement of what kind of I speak to, which is this path of the heart and the alchemy of the heart, and how that can really, for me, how that can really change our
Mm.
lives in so many ways. But my mother is, I kind of come from a generation on my mother's side of psychics, and so she always was a sensitive, and I'm sure
Mm.
many of you
I'm
sort of
glad.
understand that, just you come in with sort of extra sensory perception. And then when I was sort of 6, 7, I learned transcendental meditation. I learned how to meditate because really my mother was she was a child of the 60s,
Yeah.
and she was a real seeker of the truth and wanted to change the world and really wanted
Mm.
to immerse herself in uh, a sort of like being, transformation, really, that inner
Mm.
transformation that whole generation were about. Um, and also, as I talk about in the book, she also brought with her a suitcase load, a truckload of trauma too, that
Mm.
I had to alchemize, I had to transform. So
Mm.
I had both pieces, and that's
Mm.
often what we have in our lives. Sometimes it's just a bucket load of trauma, but there's always it can be our parents, our caregivers are quite confusing. So, you know,
Mm.
there'll be lessons that they're bringing to us and that are really painful, and then other parts of them that are not so
Mm.
painful, that are redeeming. But I had these two pieces, and really for me, meditation, it really, learning how to meditate at an early age, I think just meant that all of my psychic channels were really open.
Yeah, from start.
Yeah.
Yeah. You met angels and at
Yeah.
an early age as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, what it's so interesting with the angels came to me really early on, actually, and
Mm.
when I was about 8 years old, and my mum used to she would, I think, in the pain of that time, I would sit down and they just come in, really, and I used to write poetry. I kind of channeled. I used to go and journal. I journaled at a very early age, and then but then I would sort of channel this energy, and they would always talk about the soul, and they'd talk about how brief life is. And I'd be writing a
Mm.
lot of this stuff sort of between 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Um, and it was always a vibration that then I noticed as an adult, that a vibration that steps in that's very clear. When you have an angelic moment, it comes in, and it's like it really is a non-negotiable. It comes in like a column of energy, like a pillar of light, and you can have that quite in brief moments, sort of just feeling like, oh, I feel suddenly really supported, and I can feel something. I feel really held. That's often the word
Mm.
I hear by in retreats or by clients is, oh, I felt really held. I can feel that in my bones. And so yeah, the angels came in, and then they came back again. I sort of forgot about them for a bit, and then they
Mm.
came back again in my early 20s.
Oh, yeah. When you needed them, right?
Yeah, and when I say they came back again, they're always with us,
Yeah, of course.
right? They're just always there. It's if I let me rephrase that, I went back to them rather than they came
Yeah.
back to me. So
Mm.
in my early 20s, my journey sort of started again really with out of that teenage, those teenage years, and really just back to sort of spiritual truths, and my meditation practice really, and deepened, and
Mm.
I was looking for the angel. I was really, wanted to communicate with the angelic realms again. And so really they help me on with everything I do. So all of the healing work I do, the angelic realms are really, they are the team.
That's fantastic to hear. So let me ask you a question. Who are you really today?
Wow, Alexandra, that's a wild and
Is that too much? Is it
no,
too
I
much?
love it. No, nothing's too much for me. I love that. I'm an Aries, so I love
Mm.
I love
Yeah.
raw and real and intimate, connection. And who am I really today? I would say I am what I ask for before I start every day. I pray. I ask that I'm always of service, and I come back to that really every day. And I have to remind myself of that every day, because of course our egos, we have to really be very clear with our intention every day. And that's why we pray, that's why we meditate, that's why we chant, is to remind ourselves, and that we are of who we are really. And
Mm.
today I'm of service, so I look to bring people to be of service to the, like a slipstream, and I call it a slipstream. It's like a of compassion, a
Mm.
slipstream of love, a slipstream of compassion that exists in the world. It moves around the world, inside, through us and outside of us. And really I'm of service to that energy. So
Mm.
whether that's God or whatever that feels like for you, the universe, the light, um, that's my work, and that's really
Mm.
why I wrote this book. I wrote
Yeah.
this book so that people could understand, could really for themselves, for really not very, inexpensive, not have to come to one-to-one sessions or find a retreat, that they could actually sit down with a book, and it could get them from through the pieces of themselves
Mm.
back to the pieces of themselves, really to arrive at this place of union. Because, and that is their true nature. The true nature is to be what you are, what you were born to be, where you came from. We came from oceans of love, we return to oceans of love. We are love, we are light. So it's really that reconnecting with that truth. And I, in this lifetime, that's my that's my mission, that's my invitation, that's my offering. I'm also a mum, I'm also a friend, I'm also a
Mm.
partner, and and an animal lover. so so
Oh,
yeah, so there are also other those human parts, that are
yeah.
obviously um the reason why I love being, we love doing what we do and being here on the planet. I love to garden.
Yeah. What do you guard? What do you? when you do gardening, what is it that is it flowers? Is it herbs? What is it trees?
Yeah, I used to garden when I was really young as well. So when I was
Yeah.
8 years old, yeah, I used to go into the garden for hours and it would be a real retreat for me. And I love roses. I can have so many roses. I love roses. They've got
Mm.
incredible frequency, but also, everything. Like I've got huge lavender plants at the moment because of the bees. Like I love to, I want to keep the
Yeah.
bees alive. And also the trees. I mean, the trees, they are really
Pillars.
again, they are our pillars, yeah. And having relationships, I have a mystery school actually. I have a mystery school sort of and practitioners who come and learn really the true essence process, but they go through a sort of really it's a very deep dive into what a mystery school is and the mysteries, But
Ah,
this relationship with the trees is so important because they have a language and they have an intelligence, and we know that now. So obviously we've known shamanically we've understood that
mm.
for thousands of years, but now science has caught up. We know that the trees have a
Communication. Yeah.
communicate. They have a heartbeat,
Mm.
So getting out into the trees and being with nature is really fundamental.
Yeah. I agree with you. I actually read in your book that you were introduced to the forest by your stepdad. Is that true? Yeah.
Right, yeah. I was introduced to the forest by my stepdad, and he was a real kind of my mother they met actually at something called the Divine Light Mission, which was a sort of an ashram in London in those days, and but he was a real druid, so he was very kind of the land
Mm.
and could speak. He understood the language of birds. He could recognize every single bird song in the forest.
Yeah.
He was really in touch with his past lives. He'd had a Roman past life, so he would go metal detecting. We'd go to these kind of Roman forts, and that was I spent a lot of my childhood doing that. So I went to Glastonbury very, very young. We'd go to, and I have to go back to Glastonbury now, at least twice a year. I take my mystery school there actually. I,
Oh, I would love to go one day. It's one of the places on earth that I want to
oh
go.
well, Alexandra, you
Mhm.
have to come with us.
Yeah, I should definitely.
Come in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful to do in bulk. So that those are the
Oh,
Celtic.
yeah.
So we sell, we do the in bulk and Beltane, all of those. And again, those are the changes in the year, that the sacred changes in the year to recognize wherever we are, the flow of nature and how the cycles of nature bring us into a sort of sacred relationship with with what is outside and what is inside too. So but we go to Glastonbury and all of these different places, which was a real education in itself. That's the education, that's the land, the education of the land and being in the land and what that means. And that's something we have to immerse ourselves in. What does it mean to listen to the ocean? What does it mean to
Mm.
feel into the trees? What does it mean to when you're walking and each step you take in on the land, you're sinking into Mother Earth, listening, watching, noticing, and the signs. There are so many signs in nature too. And the universe, God will speak to you through the signs. You will be spoken to
Mm.
if you are open, and that's the thing about the
Yeah.
angels and returning there when I in my 20s. If we start to open those channels, then everything we kind of move dimensions really, or everything is
Mm.
available to us.
Something that you talk about opening is your heart. So you actually start with the book talking about opening your heart and the importance of that. And I think it speaks very well to me. And I think it speaks to many people. But it's also something that you might think that you already have done. For me, for example, I'm thinking, yeah, but I've done that. I'm open now compared to before. So let's talk about the heart and the opening of the heart and why you are sometimes referred to as the heart whisperer.
Yeah, so the heart is at the core of my work. It really is.
Mm.
It lays the foundation for my work. It's everything really. And your audience, everyone that's listening, will be heart-led. You are naturally all heart-led people. You know, you've been born into this incarnation,
Mm.
into this lifetime, into this body, with this family line, with all of the lessons, and your soul is really has been calling you home since the beginning. So you will understand this work, you know, because it is your work. And ultimately, when we are on a spiritual path, we are on the we are going back to our hearts, because we can't really meet spirit through our heads. So that's never going to happen. So remember the ego, remember the head. You know, the mind is a construct of this lifetime, and only this lifetime. And we know that from when we've, you know, again, your audience will be very familiar with what it means to rewire the unconscious. You know, the unconscious creates you know, our emotions in our unconscious create our thoughts, create our reality. So we have to go back into our unconscious, and our unconscious is 95% of our mind, and our conscious mind is only 5%. So we can also mentalize and start to understand a lot of the stuff out there, right? But often it's not embodied. So the stories are not embodied. So we feel like we've opened our hearts, and we are natural empaths as well.
Mm.
Okay, so everyone's going to be a natural empath out there. But this heart work, which is a real dedication, it's a real commitment. You know, I'm
Mm.
going into my heart today, and I start the book with that, and I begin with this. You know, it's like building a muscle. You're building. Just think of you're going to the heart gym, and you know you're going to the sort of this kind of the gym of light, and you're building this relationship with the heart. And I say, drop out of the mind, step into the heart, and stay curious, because what happens in this space is extraordinary. It really is extraordinary. So the first thing that you know we do, we drop into the emotional heart, because for me there are three hearts. There's the breath. People understand the breath. We do yoga, we meditate, we do breath work, and that brings us into an understanding of the power of prana, of the power of that life force energy. But then we drop in deeper, and we drop into the heart, the emotional heart, which is holding a lot of the stories and a lot of the pain that we think we've processed, right?
Mhm.
You know, we may have been in therapy and done bits and
Mhm.
pieces, but we think we've processed it. But then we come into the heart and we find in the corners like some grief and the real deal, right? And then when we've alchemized that, because we show up and we
Mhm.
start to companion ourselves in a new way, we drop into something else. And that's what I call the mystical heart. That's the spiritual heart. That's the seat of the soul. You know,
Mhm.
Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, you know, said that the heart is the seat of the soul, but it's been the seat of the soul since the ancient Egyptians on throughout history, millennia, and all cultures.
Mhm.
We've just forgotten about that. But this
Mhm.
spiritual heart is really when we step into that, and we will find it. That's our inner voice. That's our alignment. We get the downloads. We feel the energies. We are in flow. And even when we manifest from this place, from this authentic place,
Mhm.
or we kind of look to vision into our world, we are visioning in from a powerhouse, because this is our soul, right? So this is not the mind, or the
No, it's not the physical heart either.
and it's not the physical heart.
No.
No, it's different. So
Mm.
so yeah, so coming back to your original question, Alexandra, is that I have the way of the heart has been really since just being, you know, being born into, and just being an empath, and that story. But also I then had a Sufi teacher, and you know Sufism is all
Mm.
about the alchemy of the heart, really. So
Mm.
we know from Rumi, you know, when you read Rumi or any Sufi poetry, it's about the path of the heart. And then really in my later work, when I, you know, with my hands-on healing and my retreats, the divine feminine is, you know, the divine feminine has stepped with me, you know, every step of the way. And the face of the divine feminine, you know, she can come to you and you can work with her on so many different ways, whether it's Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Kuan Yin, Green Tara, Mother Earth. You know, she's everywhere. She's in all things. But that it's that slipstream of love and compassion, and that is the way of the heart. So those emotions are held here in the mystic heart, and it's also a wellspring. So when we go in and we experience ourselves past the emotional heart, we drop into oceans of infinite light and love, and that's possible.
Then we're there.
Then
We have arrived.
then we've arrived, and it ebbs and
Mm.
flows, but we have an anchor.
Yeah. And perhaps we know how to come back. Like probably you go back and forth.
Yeah, you're anchored. It's not
Mm.
even
Mm.
we sort of have a sense of being held. We have a sense of knowing. It's a sense of alignment. It's not needing external validation. It's not it's making choices that kind of are heart aligned, and so really work for mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
And so those oceans of energy hold you, but don't overwhelm you, because it's something that we just it's just a knowing, and we start, and it's a wisdom. So we're kind of back to our wisdom.
So what about the being a heart whisperer? I can see where that's coming from, but when did this start happening and how did you react to that?
So the heart whispering. So when I started doing my first, when I had a career as a TV presenter,
Yeah.
and I worked at the BBC. I worked for the Travel Channel and Discovery Channel, and I was abseiling off cliffs and doing incredible things all around the world. It was
Mhm.
a real gift. But my journey, it's like I always say, your purpose comes knocking, and you can run, but you can't hide. And I was living in LA at the time. I was pregnant, and I had my son, and I actually was living in a building just underneath the Hollywood sign, and it was haunted. And so I cleared the building, because I know how to clear. I cleared the building. So I cleared the building, and then people started arriving on my doorstep and said, people were saying, "Can you help me?" And so I started, and I've always been able to do, the cards were very, doing the, tarot, or the
Mhm.
sort of, was very easy for me, but really my work was about, what I noticed was, if I did a reading for someone, that I'd see something that was possible for them, but the minute they left, they'd be like, "Oh, she doesn't really know what she's talking about," or all the old things would step in, the inner critic, the saboteur, those voices. And I recognized that the middle piece was really important in order for people to live the lives they were meant to live. So this piece in the middle, which is the healing piece, which is when I started to do the healing, and I realized, but I would always get people to drop into their hearts,
Oh.
always get people to drop into their hearts with any reading I did, and sort of bring in the light, and bring in spirit, bring in God. So this feeling of what was in between, and that's really what the true essence process is, and that's what my one-to-ones became, which is dissolving the blocks, like really going in, but doing it through the heart, because the heart, it, rather than the mind, we go round and round in circles, we bring it into the heart, and it alchemizes. That alchemy is that, the old ancient medieval alchemists who turned lead into gold. It moves, it transforms these blocks, actually, really in a dynamic way. It's
Yeah.
and it's phenomenal. I've been working for over 20 years, and that was always my go-to. And I would say that that's because of my spiritual understanding, that's my relationship, but the heart is, for me, the beginning, the middle, and the end. And so we go in, and
Mm.
people's results were so powerful, so extraordinary. I do something called the love retreat, and the the alchemizing of big wounds, like our shame wound, being able to forgive all of the, the grief, the things that we're holding in the corners, and being able to just really lovingly, but dynamically move through these blocks.
Yeah.
And so I find myself, the heart, and the what I love in sessions, people come to see me, and they have what I call a heart override. and the heart override, because they come in with all their things and and they lie down, and then they just start weeping, and they, when we go into the meditation, and they always say, and I write about it in the book, is like, well, is this meant to happen? I'm not sure. Like, does this always happen? Oh, and then they're embarrassed and want to do all things, and and I say to people, why is it that we are so resistant of these tears? Allow the tears to flow, allow them to flow through you. And also, what happens is the heart takes an exhalation, it gets into the space, it moves in, it comes into the container, and it goes, and it's just allowed to, it's given permission, and it knows it's safe, and it's like an override. It's like, I'm just doing this, like, you need to get out of the way, right? Like, and there's the tears, and then, but again, there's a beginning, middle, and an end to healing, right? So
is there an end?
Well, when I say an end, I mean we're always evolving. Okay, we're always evolving, right? Till and you want to be evolving right till the day you die. Like until the day we leave the dimension. You want to stay curious and be on an adventure. But the big pieces, I would say, there are big pieces of our karma, of the lessons. Like, what are the big lessons that we've come in to learn, that will be in the childhood, right? So either with the caregivers, with our parents, with our at school, experiences, that there will be something that we need, that our souls need us to attend to in order to evolve, like the big piece of the lifetime. And I would say there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to that piece. So if it's your massive abandonment wound from being left at 6 years old, your father left because, and he didn't say anything when he left, and that was it. And the shame that we've kind of, or whatever it is, or you feel too much, or you don't feel enough. There is light at the end of that tunnel.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. So we have this book. It's a fantastic book. And I actually kind of did my own conclusion today. Can I read it to you? Because it's very, I did it after doing your first heart exercise and run through the book. So, because I'm trying, I give out books in the spiritual field, body, mind, spirit, 16 times a year. So many times, if I don't work with profiling the book, presenting the book in a very specific way to each book, they can all seem to be kind of similar. And so I'm trying to find the difference between the books. And so here is this one. Estelle doesn't only write about opening your heart. She leads you through it with the art of a complete teacher. If you read, follow, and do what she writes, you will be transformed. Is that a good conclusion?
I've got goosebumps, Alexandra.
Perfect.
I've got a full body yes. That's really that's the invitation of this book. 100%. If you do sit with this, and you can come back to different chapters, and people dip in, and it will transform you.
Yeah. So the book is called Manifest Your True Essence, and manifestation is many times connected to the law of attraction, right? So, but we don't find a lot of the classic law of attraction in this book. So can you tell us a little bit about manifesting, the law of attraction to you, and how this book differs from other self-help books?
Yeah, so I've been manifesting all my life, and really, I manifested, and there's this is a book of 3 parts. The last part is really the return, and I talk about what it means to manifest. But manifesting is about frequency, and we all understand that now because it's so in the mainstream, like attracts like, and all of that stuff. What I say with this book, and it's about how we think about, or how we feel into frequency, and the frequency is when you're in alignment with your heart energy, is really the frequency of sort of quantum manifestation, right?
I
So
can
when
see
we're
that. Yeah.
okay, so when we're manifesting from our, remember that time I talked about it, 95% of the mind is unconscious, and all of these thoughts are, everything down here in the shadow is telling you that you're not enough, but this 5% is white knuckling and saying, I want this and I want that, and I'm manifesting this, and I'm making another vision board, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you wonder why things don't change in a deep way for you. Right? And again, we can do stuff, we can go into the unconscious and rewire. So I say that when you go into the heart to rewire,
Mm.
everything changes. Because also some of the things that our ego tells us, if we haven't done some inner work, that we want to manifest, and the law of attraction, and even that feels like such a, when we hold that energy, it feels like such a sort of having to do something, the law of attraction, I have to attract, and that's not, we really like put that to one side. Like, this is all inside you, everything is inside you, and everything is coming to you and for you, and life is looking to meet you. And really, that's what heart work is. Heart work is just showing up to that every day, and it's not something that we have to do, it's something
Mm.
that we begin to embody, and it's also, it's something that we recognize is at the core of ourselves, it's in us. We don't have to be, we're not doing anything, right? We're not
Mm.
attracting, we're just being. and
Mm.
and when we sit in the heart and we do it from that place, because we know that the heart is, science tells us that even the energy, the electromagnetic field, is 100 times more powerful than the electromagnetic field of the mind, of the brain.
Yeah.
So even when you walk into a room, 3 feet outside of the heart is the aura, is your aura, and that's what makes up the aura. You walk into a room, if you're in
Mm.
heart alignment, then you're going to be bringing things to you, because people want to move into your they want to resonate with you, because your frequency is like in your heart vibration, rather than the mind vibration. I want friends, I want this, I want, it's
Yeah.
different. And there's flow, right? And that's
Mm.
frequency, and manifestation in a spiritual way is flow. It kind of almost transcends this idea of manifestation, because the word manifest, I went backwards and forwards with, because it's a different, do we want that
Mm.
word? Don't we want that word?
Yeah.
But it does help you. What you're doing with this book is living the life that you were born to live,
Yeah.
and being, and whatever those gifts are, bringing those
Mm.
out,
Mm.
living an unapologetic life and this
Mm.
heart-led life. And so it is, you are kind of you are working with frequency, obviously, and manifestation, you're working with flow.
Mm. Yeah. I like flow. I
Yes.
can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, do you have one question that we can ask ourselves every day to stay aligned with our true essence?
Absolutely. So this is a really easy one. You can be wherever you are, wherever you find yourself. I would say you bring both hands into the center of the heart. This is the mystic heart. And we take a heart embodied breath here. So you and I can do this together now. So it's a nice deep breath in through the nose, breathing in through the nose, and then a deep sigh. That was good. I want you to do a few more of those, just so that we can, whoever's watching can see this. So breathing in through the nose, and then really allowing that sigh, that deep heart embodied breath. So finding your rhythm, Alexandra, breathing in, finding your own rhythm, and exhaling through. And that sigh is really gentle. You're bringing that to the heart. This is a real gesture of love as we bring the heart, we bring this breath to the heart. It's a gesture of love. And in this place, you can just ask the heart, how are you feeling? And what do you need? And breathe into that and exhale it through. Dropping the shoulders. That gentle listening is enough. And then listening to the heart and not the head. When the heart is ready, opening the eyes.
Yeah. Finally, you arrived,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And yeah, very nice. I actually did this before our meeting today, and I had another question to myself, to my heart, and it was about it was the question in the book. It was called um, what does it say? What does your heart say? I think.
Mm.
So I arrived at one word, warmth, and it's not about the heat here at Mallorca, but the warmth being like in a warm environment, so spreading love,
Yeah.
kind of. Um,
So that's
this is a really, really nice exercise. Thank you very much.
and that's the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Because at its core, our lives are really simple. And love is really simple.
Mm.
And this listening is not complicated, but will bring you into alignment.
I
And
love your voice. You kind of transform into this lovely, um, divine voice when leading in exercise. Mhm.
yeah, I mean I love the space of the heart and what it
Mm.
means for humanity, really.
Mm. Yeah, great. So I have to write down what I arrived to. Um, in this, it was very important. Occupied and space. So, how are you feeling? Occupied. And and what do you need? Space.
Wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
So that listening is a radical act of self-love because the heart will tell you something different, and some every day, like it may be different every day. And actually, when we just show up to that very quiet, that inner listening on the inner planes, it's a radical act of self-love. And it's just these very small tweaks. So
Yeah,
somewhere in your day, give yourself a little bit of space. And that may be just that you walk and you take a walk and have a little coffee in a cafe or on your own, or if you can, or you do sit and maybe for 10 minutes and meditate. I know you did that before the session, but just something that's not about work, that's just for you.
a last question then, if that's
Yes.
okay. What's the biggest block you see in people who try to manifest, and how do we move past it?
The biggest block is I don't deserve.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, so the biggest block is really I'm not enough and I don't deserve.
Yeah.
And that comes through because so often, and it'll come through even when you don't realize it, because it may be in your unconscious, which is why going in and the book, we do a deep dive, we do a dive into the shame wound. And our shame wound is our I'm too much or not enough. And everyone has a shame wound. It's quite an interesting wound to understand or be with, and also to transform. But it's some of the most powerful work that you'll ever do in your lifetime, really. And what happens is it's underneath the I'm not enough. So I'm not enough, so I don't deserve. And whilst people think that they are enough and they do deserve, time and time again, that's the biggest block. And what happens is also people will say to me, I just feel stuck.
Yeah.
I've done so much work
Mhm.
and I just feel stuck.
Yeah.
I see people who have done plant medicine, ayahuasca, they've been on therapy, they've done past life regression, you name it, they've done it. And if I sat down with people, every time I sit down with people, they're like, I've done so much work, and they're quite resentful in the beginning.
Mm.
And I say to them, I say, well, just stay curious, stay
Mm.
with me, just bear with me on this. Like, we're going to go back to some things that you've done before, but we are going back to them in a different way, and they
Mm.
will change. Your
Mm.
the outcomes will change. So that stuckness will often comes from a place of, I don't really deserve a different life,
Mm.
and it's old.
To me, when you talk about this, it feels like, so when I try to understand, I connect to the feeling that I have to let it drop, like really drop down, not just being here, but really drop down the feeling and the will to want to change.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And
crazy.
that's perhaps seconds, but still.
I think it's so important that you've mentioned that, Alexandra. It's
Mm.
it's the will is important,
Mm.
is actually, it's courageous. It's a courageous act to show up for yourself, right?
Mm.
To show up for different parts of yourself,
Mm.
and to really unravel some of these belief systems is
Mm.
is a powerful moment in your lifetime.
Mm.
So I say, because everyone that's listening is on that journey, that the heart work is a real, it is the door. It's like a portal, really. It's opening the door to being able to really move the stuckness, and shift the feeling of not really being enough or not deserving in a deep way.
Estelle, we are on a journey of opening hearts in Sweden, and I'm very, very happy that I tracked down your book. I think I asked Hay House 10 times for the manuscript, and they said, yeah, 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 it's coming soon, it's coming soon.
Really?
So, yes, I've been waiting for it, and now I know why.
Wow,
Yes.
that's so incredible. I'm so moved. I'm
Mm.
so touched. And I really, I pray that this book finds people all over the world that it's meant to find. And in these times where, we are living through really crazy times, but they're the
Yeah.
times we're meant to live through. We're meant to be here
Yeah.
for this. But the heart, the next frontier, humanity's next revolution is really a revolution of the heart. For us to step into our hearts it's kind of an act of rebellion, right? It's a courageous act to live a heart-led life. But it's the beauty that's inside, that's what I'm really excited to really bring to all of your Swedish readers and listeners, and the beauty of each one of each person that's listening to this, that I really, my hope is that is felt by the world.
Yes. So thank you very much, and I want to send you a big good luck to your next session, and I will check out that in-bulk journey to Glastonbury in February.
Come with me.
Yeah, I would love to.
Come with the mystery school, Alexandra.
It would be so much fun.
So much.
I'll let you know.
Let me
Yeah.
know. I'm
Okay.
serious. I'd love you to do
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I'm all over that stuff. I'm more the merrier.
Perfect.
Come.
Wonderful. Yes. So let's keep in touch, and I will send you all the details about the book when it's launched in early autumn. So
Okay.
have a wonderful day now, and talk to you
So
soon.
much love.
Yeah,
Bye.
same.
Bye.
Bye bye.